You're recording already?
Yes.
Yeah, this could be really intense. No, so...
I really loved it. It was such a good episode. It was gothic. It was atmospheric. It had a lot of things going on that built up to things that we're getting into in the finale, which I really can't wait for as well now. Which has been a new thing that I've not experienced in so many years for the show. Is that I'm excited about what's happening currently and what's going to happen next.
It's pronounced Frankenstein episode. First thing. The poems of Shelley are not worth $1 billion lives. They're just not. They were barely worth the time it took to write them down when he came up with them. Sorry, I don't rate the man, but there we go.
What do we think about not Frankenstein with like a not Cyberman and not really Mary Shelley?
Well, I'm really happy because I got one of those. Trying to destroy the table. I got one of those moments again where me and Jamie were sitting watching it. Mum and Dad, and then we're just like, is it a TARDIS? Why is there all these disguise photos? Why are they going up the stairs and getting lost? Oh my god, something's gonna happen. It's the week before the finale. Holy something's gonna happen. What's gonna happen? Oh my god. It's a Cyberman! Oh my god! Oh my god!
I really enjoyed it. It was an interesting concept, especially seeing a different side to the Cyberman, because we've always seen them in these type of Dalek-esque creatures where they'll get one goal, hit everybody, don't get what they want, you're gone. But with this one, you've actually got very early Cybermen where you still get a face, they'll still get emotions. For the very early adaptation, which is very unusual to actually see, which is interesting.
The main thing that I loved about it was the fact that the Cybermen are... Oh, that Cyberman was really, really scary for being a Cyberman, cobbled together from bits. I loved the fact that Cybermen are supposed to be unemotional because they've got that inhibitor and he doesn't have it, and therefore he's really emotional. I loved the bit where he talks about his children and he talks about Mary Shelley's children. It's just fantastic.
I thought it was a really solid episode last night. Definitely one of Series 12's stronger episodes. I thought the supporting cast were really good.
I thought the actors they had playing Byron, Shelley, Mary Shelley, all really good.
Yeah. But the fact that you take an event in time that is famous, iconic in literature and science fiction, horror literature especially, and the star of that story is a woman, and make her a bit part in that story, really, no, that rubbed me up the wrong way. That story, the Villa Diodati, or whatever it is, I can't remember the exact name, that story is Mary Shelley's. That is Frankenstein, that is Mary Shelley, and they pushed her behind both Byron and her husband. That really, no. It made me think that all the diversity and the inclusiveness of Chibnall is affected. It's not natural. He doesn't believe it. He just adds it, because this is the kind of story where a woman is front and centre, and he quite casually pushed her to the side. And I know he did write it, but he signed off on it, and that really put me off.
Anyway, the other thing is, I know buried deep in my mind I have the knowledge of how Mary Shelley related to Lord Byron and how all these people like relate to each other, but it's not something I think about often, and I was trying to remember, like, wait a minute, who's who to who again, because they ran through it all quite quickly, and I was like, there must be people watching this who've never had that knowledge, like, you know, children.
You're right, because I didn't really, I knew vaguely, I'd heard the names mentioned and I'd heard the story of them all being in that house that night and stuff, but I didn't actually know who was there, and I didn't know how to relate to each other. And you're right, see, they just kind of went, and because Lord Byron's going to be over there having an affair with him.
I'm actually looking up historical figures. I mean, Doctor Who's had historical figures all over the place, but I've never actually sat down and looked them up and, was actually all that bothered about their lives and the stuff that they do. But I'm starting to do that quite often. And it's incredible just how accurate they are. I mean, 3 days that they were in wherever they were supposed to have been in and came up with all these fabulous ghost stories, and it's actually all realistic, and it's all done sensibly, and it's as realistic as you can by shoving a Cyberman in the middle of it all.
It was a lot to introduce all those characters, and then there's a lot of horror movie tropes that came up, or kind of general horror tropes, which like disembodied hands and strange figures appearing, which if you know these tropes, you're kind of sitting there going, oh right, there's that trope, there's the other trope, there's this trope. Whereas if you're a kid watching that and you're not familiar with the tropes yet, then you kind of be like, what's going on here? Why is there a disembodied hand? Why are there? And not all of it was even explained, which to be fair, the episode did acknowledge, but it was a little bit all over the place, was it not?
Yeah,
there
it
are a
was.
million characters that you didn't know who they all were to each other, and then all these horror tropes, and then ultimately it turned out to be a Cyberman who wasn't fully a Cyberman. Who wasn't fully a Cyberman, and
It was a bit like.
there's a lot of elements there.
The bit with Dr. Polidori sleepwalking through walls, and A, it making sense, and B, it being an actual plot point. Brilliant, mwah, beautiful, loved it. Really well done. Round of applause for the writer. That was brilliant.
I also thought the design for the Cybermen looked probably the creepiest we've had so far. Probably due to the fact that we still can kind of see him half converted. And also that moment where we saw that baby, and basically a scene where I highly doubt we would have seen in the Moffat era, where he snaps that French woman's neck. Even though we don't actually see the lone Cyberman snap that woman's neck, just the way her cries just cut off so suddenly, I was like, whoa.
I thought it was really good as a premise, the three rules at the start, don't mention Frankenstein, don't kind of spoil things, and don't snog Byron's reputation obviously preceding himself there.
Yeah.
And I liked the fact that the doctor was just like, I'm having no time for this man's chat up lines. His reputation precedes him.
I never really got that kind of vibe from her. I got the more, I see right through your chat up line, and I'm just continuing to do what I'm doing.
That's what I mean. Really is.
It wasn't even a brush off. It was just a total blanking him, which I thought.
That's a woman's brush off.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You're not a lady person.
I think if I was watching it very cold, as just someone who was just watching a drama series, I think I would find the whole episode a bit flat. And also, I do find it a bit worrying. I know what you mean, because see, with all those different people, the one that sticks out to me most as the most interesting one is the servant and his hilarious sass, which is ridiculous because you've got Lord Byron and Mary Shelley and the other people there. And they were all okay, but nobody stood out. Whereas the servant at least kind of was like that bit where he's playing the piano and he's like, and the whole time it's just really funny, and you're like, really, these characters should be really interesting and big.
And people got to dress up. Yas had a very nice bonnet. The doctor, minimal effort, but the waistcoat was looking good. And the hat, when she put on the big hat, big helmet, the Waterloo helmet, I really liked that. That was a bit shades of Reign of Terror there, I guess. I don't know. But just on the whole, really good. And really kind of atmospheric. I was watching it last night with the weather being absolutely howling wild outside, and it made for a perfect thing. That should have been a Halloween episode. So should have been a Halloween episode.
I want Jodie Whittaker's waistcoat, a lot. I don't know what that was. Was it a waistcoat? Was it just a garment? Whatever. I want that garment. Give me the garment. Do you know what garments are made of? Looms.
Incredibly obscure, but when the doctor did the thing to make Shelley think he was dying, was that Eighth Man Bound? Now there's a reference. There's a bonging reference.
There's an obscure reference to Long Barrow, the ancient Time Lord trick, which brings or forces the body to think that it's near death, so that we can experience that, as it were, is something that's kind of in Long Barrow. And I think if we're pulling some obscure references to Long Barrow, then you can bet your bottom dollar the finale, the looms, the Doctor is the other. Not just that, the Roof Doctor is the other, and I'm going to die on that hill that she is actually the other who created the Time Lords way donkeys ago.
Does Yaz have feelings for the Doctor?
This is what I thought.
Yeah. I think it's been strongly hinted as Yaz being bisexual in Series 11. I don't think that's just like my little fangirl mind working. I think that was actually hinted. And I think Yaz might have feelings for the Doctor. But it's so subtly hinted at that you're like, is it happening or not? I don't know.
I know, because like when that was said last night, I was like, that's a sentence.
Yeah.
And it's bold proof of something that we don't know about, and something about Yaz and our interests, and that, you know, and it's meant to lead us and go, huh? You know how you've always been making slightly wondering about, you know, Yaz this whole time? Well, here's a statement that we're not going to follow up right now.
I do like what the Doctor was talking about when she was talking about the power dynamic within the companions. It's not just a level playing field where she's there with her fam and it's all happy and good times. It is totally not like that. She has to make the difficult decisions, and she has to be the one who is burdened with that and has to make up for that in the future. And she's telling people this at last.
It was also nice to see the contact with the Doctor actually standing up and going, you're either with me or you're not. You either help me or stand back. I'm doing what I have to do. You're not interfering. You know.
I wondered at what point that Graham actually managed to have a wee. I decided it was probably when the Cyberman turned up in the cellar, like that. He probably did a wee then. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the Glasgow Doctor Who YouTube channel. And if you watch my blinks, they're Morse code for help me. I am doing this against my own will.